So let's wrap about shorts real quick. I know his 511 pant review got a lot of play with you guys, and a lot of you guys run these all the time because you want to look like off-duty feds and cops and all that. It's really cool. There are some things I love about the 511 pants, but I'm going to show you the short versions of these and some of the alternatives that I've been running with, because a lot of people ask for that. You're curious about, what about the TacLites shorts, what are the plus, the minus, all that stuff. In the end, it's a pair of damn shorts, so wear whatever you want to. There are some things that I really do love about these, though, even though I don't love dressing up like a cop all the time and looking like that. I like the durability that comes with them. I like the hard-to-stain materials that they use. I like how quickly they dry out. I like, usually, this construction up here. They have a really good chassis on them, and they're able to carry a lot of, like, shit in your pockets, and it just works. It's not like some of these other ones, like you see a lot of microfiber ones now. They're really comfortable. It's like wearing a pair of pajama slacks, which I personally hate. I hate like really thin, wafty pants. It's just like 60s bachelor hood that I just can't stand it. I like thick, durable, like denim, and the rawer the better. It just feels more natural to me. I really like feeling like my lower half of my body is protected and not at a slumber party. But that's my own weirdness. I really like how they do like thick belt loops, and you have all kinds of, usually elastication up here, and little reinforcement things on the pockets where things normally get ripped out if you're using blades or pens or all that stuff. It's the little touches like that that make these awesome to live with day to day. Now, my personal beef with the 511 one is they always do this cell phone pocket here, and I'm going to show you one other brand that does that too. I personally hate this. It's really showy and it just sticks out. It does not look normal when you see it on someone. Look at it on their model here. They tell you it's a cell phone pocket. I don't know if they still do. I haven't bought a pair of these in a couple of years. It doesn't really fit any of the phones I've ever run. It can kind of fit in there. But you know what happens when you get a call and you're trying to pull it out and you look like an ass and you're like finagling it. Oh, it's kind of there. It's almost there. Doesn't really work. I think in their literature they may mention this as a pistol mag pocket. That makes a little more sense to me. But it's such an odd little size. You know, that's about an inch right there. So it's like around 2 inches wide. It's just not roomy enough to put a lot of stuff in it, and it's a little too roomy for something like pens or lights or any of that. You know, sometimes you will see things like, here's a night core light that I do love. You can do this kind of thing, but then you still have half of the pocket left, and you can fit another thing in. So do you want to scratch the crap out of this one if you're anal about stuff like that? I don't know. I wish they would just get rid of this cell phone pocket and integrate it to maybe the side of one of these. I think that's a lot less showy and really obvious. I don't like looking like the, you know, poser cops and stuff. Maybe that's just me. I like to just not dress like that, mostly because I'm always around people that do, and you know, when you go to training and stuff with guys, I don't know. It reminds me of like all the volunteer firefighter dudes that I know from academy stuff, and I don't know. I feel dumb acting like one of them when I'm not. So maybe that's it. I love the back pockets on these. They're fantastically roomy. And this actually doubles, since this is an entire panel of like, you know, ass pocketage. You have a lot of doubling up of cloth here. If you look at some jeans that people run, if you're like running some hipster wallet that has the buttons in it or something, it'll wear through and it'll burn through a pocket really quick. Little less chance of that happening here when you have so much real estate, so you can kind of put the weight on it differently instead of right here where you're always sitting. It can be lower. I don't know exactly how that works out in the long run. I haven't run a wallet like that after I graduated middle school. But if you go really deep in here, you don't have to worry about anything snagging. It's a really low profile bunch of seams in there, so you don't have something funky hanging out or getting in your way. And then it's just a Velcro closure. I like that method the most. I don't like it when you put like these weird butt flap things. The more you have on like a backpack or a fanny pack, if you're a sophisticated adventurer of Disneyland, it gets tougher to move into and like use when you have your hand backwards and you're fishing for something in there. I'd rather it just be like this. You know, you're not using your ass pockets for super important stuff. You're not really putting anything that you should be too worried about in there. It's nice to have it easily accessible. And notice how they cut this all the way down so as your hand comes backwards, you can reach into it. It's nice little design touches like that. Not so much on the form factor as much of the function factor, but whatever. Other stuff on it. Again, great belt loops on there. And the interior on these is just fine. You know, they have elastication built in. I don't prefer that, to be honest with you. I'm going to show you the tru-spec system. And I do have a pair of black tru-spec pants that I really like too. Their fabric on it isn't the same as the 24/7. They're a little older. They're ones that I used in EMT stuff, and they're really good. They're kind of really heavy though. I don't know what this thing is. I know it has a purpose. I think it's like for lashing your gun to or something. Like if you're running a carbine course, maybe. I honestly don't know. Someone told me at some point and I was like, oh, that makes perfect sense. But evidently it wasn't enough to make me remember what it is. So that's a mysterious fabric loop that I'm assuming you hook things to. Maybe tools or something. I personally hate carpenter jeans, how they have like those funky side things with the one loop and then the very odd assortment of pockets. It's like one square pocket. Then it reeks of like a 50s design where they're like, I want to make a good utilitarian pocket. And they've never moved it on since. Again, you have a lot of blade stuff here. I think I have a blade in the other one. I love this. I wish all my jeans had it because I'm always ripping through stuff. Now this is a better version of that cell phone pocket idea and just a lot more clean in execution than having a big old flap on the front. This is essentially the same thing. It's like the same 2-finger width kind of thing. It goes down. It's a little more narrow, but it goes down. This is like for a blade or pens or anything. This is a great location because it's next to a long bone, so you don't have a lot of bendiness. You don't have that problem that you have with some jeans, like if you have like the super high chick pockets on them, you can put a pen right here, and as you move up like that, like if you're on a motorcycle or a bicycle or something, you're like stabbing yourself in the waist with it as you pedal. I don't like that so much. This is a really good solution to it, even if it's kind of engineer-y looking instead of awesome looking. Whatever, it's effective and it's awesome. These pockets, if my memory serves correctly, are sized to 2 AR mags, I think, and I think the tru-spec mods actually have like a little integrated molly pocket thing you can do. Supposedly you can fit like either 2 or 4 on each side. I personally wouldn't do that unless you have these pretty tight, because that much weight slapping against your knees as you run is just not great for them. This little thing is great if you work in IT or something and you want to clip a big old carabiner full of janitor keys to it with a bunch of tchotchkes on it. I don't use this, I don't know. Never really done it. I don't like clipping stuff to me and listening to that jangle all the time because I'm not a pirate, so whatever. Pop button, really cool. I like those instead of like the weave through, as long as they're good. Of course, with all these tack pants, you're not going to have like a cheesy button that undoes itself, so not really an issue. Fantastic zippers, like always, and that's really one of the biggest draws when you get into like the tack pants and all that. They're just well made. They're well made, well constructed. This stuff usually repels stains. It'll repel water. So like if you're eating like a donkey man and you spill a bunch of wing sauce all over it, you at least have a like shot at getting it off before you have to worry about it. It's got one of these funky dress pants buttons that you kind of like do into the center if you want to, I don't know. Takes you longer to pee when you do that, so I'm not really into it. So there's that one. That's a 511 Tactical series. I think these are TacLite pants. It's a 34-34. So one's with my fat ass in them in that one shot that we used to make fun of all the time. Reinforcement in the knees, if my memory serves correctly. Let me see. I'd make some kind of like joke thing about you and you needing more reinforcement in the knees, but whatever. Cool. So those are those. Now, let me show you the alternatives, because if you're looking at these, and again, prices can vary all the time. When I was shopping for them last year, I wanted a pair just like these, and when I priced it out, it was about $40 to $50 to get the sizes I wanted in the colors I wanted. I'm not really big on having tons and tons of sets of black pants and black shorts and all that. It's kind of hot and it shows off all the smegma stains that you get. So I went with coyote and tan and all that. I think the colors that they select for all these are not that great. They're kind of sucky, to be honest with you, because they're all military ones. You know, you have a khaki like this, you have a coyote brown, you may get like a stone color if you're lucky. You may get a gray. Most of the time it's just super dark blue and black. That's what you have to deal with, and that's kind of what you enjoy. This brand is Proper, which may or may not do military uniforms. I'm not sure about that. Same thing, 65%, 35%. It's a good little breakdown. It's made in essentially the same way, and you can tell just from looking at it, it's a big knockoff of the 511s. Again, I'm saying knockoff. I don't know if it is or not. I don't know. For all I know, these guys made it first, and they've been running with it for a long time, and 511, who knows? Not really my thing. I didn't want to really go into like a history lesson of this. I wanted to share with you guys and kind of answer that question more than anything else. So I'm just jamming a couple things in the pockets to give you an idea of how they work. Look at how closely they emulate the 511s. You have that same odd D-ring thing. You have same snap button, zipper on here. And I would say I like this zipper more than the 511s on there. If you've ever undone a zipper like that, it's kind of odd. You have this little dress pant button in the back. I'm sure there's a better word for that. Same little elastication back here, same like one panel in the rear, all that. Really cool. I think I paid $32 for these. These are size 32s, Coyote Brown. I got them off of Amazon. Yeah, Prime is awesome. These are actually some really good headphones. They have a newer version now that I think doesn't sound as good. These are Sennheiser CX680s or something like that. I literally just found these in my pocket after looking for them for like 6 months when I took these things out from my summer storage. So that's pretty cool. You have the same approximate size of the pockets. I haven't measured them. Looks like it's about the same thing. Not as long though, and these are kind of the short versions, so probably not going to be able to fit some Stanag in there. Again, if you're using that as like LBE, not going to work so hot. You have really similar pockets in the rear, except these ones are flat, so you can tell they didn't really think it out as much, but still a great system. These actually have a tiny change pocket in them, if you look. That's a cool little feature. You can put, like, I don't know, coins in there if you're still going through toll booths and all that. It does run pretty deep, but in all, it's a good system. It's not too hard to get things in and out of there. That's kind of the most important part. You have super thick things of these again. These are a little too small for my preference. I wish they were a little bit bigger. I make my own belts out of like crappy leather cuts I get, so you know, I have some that go up to like that. They're kind of like gunslinger width. This is still a little too small for it, but whatever. You really can't win them all, especially at this price point. For 32 bucks, you're getting a really close level and a good approximation of what you get out of the TacLites. For a guy that's building a wardrobe and you don't really want to spend a ton of money on clothes, it's a pretty good option. You will notice on these, and I didn't clean them up at all, this is about what 1 year of use does for you. You can see some loose threads here. You see some loose threads here, and where they kind of like did an X stitch to keep it intact there. They didn't do any extra material, you'll notice, except for right here. They didn't really do it like that, but that's because it doesn't come down and meet it very well. Again, loose threads here, there. Dude, there's loose threads everywhere. What's going on with this? Boom! So, you know, they may have cheaped out a little bit on some of the effort going into this, but in all, I think for 32 bucks, you aren't doing too bad. Really, it's pretty close to being a carbon copy of the 511, at least in form. You know, you have really good deep pockets, and I know a lot of guys, when they do these, they actually do concealed carry in the front pocket because it's so big. Look at how much space you have. I think that's an okay idea. You need a good belt for it, and in the end you print like a mofo. It sticks out so much when you just see that, and then this normally has like a bit of grip sticking out. No, I don't really like it. If you run it, and it really depends on your body proportions, rock on. I can't get away with it. I'm like 5'9", so I'm not like a super tall guy, and I don't have like a weird lumpy muscly body or anything. I vacillate between being like just kind of chunky and kind of stout George Costanza thing. I don't know. I'm all over the place, but I don't have the bodily real estate to hide like a Commander 1911 in my pocket. It's just not my sizing. You know, if you're a wider dude, a fatter dude, a super tall guy, bulky or something like that, you might be able to get away with it because you have different real estate. So, yeah. Here's another crappy cell phone pocket. Let's see if my phone fits in it. Hey, look at that. They thought it out, except for the length. So that's kind of close. At least then, if you leave it open, you can easily get your phone. And hopefully this Velcro doesn't scratch the crap out of it. But that's a little bit better. Pistol mag, I don't know what you could fit in there. Maybe like 2 of a single stack 9. That could probably work. Like if you're trying to go side by side, I don't know. You could fit enough in there to have some fun, but you're going to hear it clinking around when you're walking around. Same thing on this one. And I want to say they had an internal pocket on one of these, but I guess not. You have this little gusset in here, kind of sewn together. That's cool. But yeah, those are the Propers. I forget the exact model name, but they're pretty cheap. Proper Tactical Short. And I think they come in khaki, black, navy. They may come in a gray color, but not too expensive, of course. It seems you're giving up a little of the stitching quality and perhaps longevity in the long run compared to a pair of 511s. Nah, you can decide on your own. I will show you my favorites though, and they are the tru-spec 24/7 shorts. These are awesome. They have their little thing embroidered in the back. I do like their pants of these, but I do prefer the 511s when you go to a full-size pant for some reason. I don't know why they really just nail it on this. Maybe it's because my use on the 511s is always like a range day pant, a work pant. I'm never really wearing these around in public. Whereas for the tru-specs, it's a complete opposite. This is my civilian thing. You can tell these are all haired up, and I was changing tires and doing some car work yesterday, and for a really gray stone-colored short, these are doing just fine. You know, I run around, I'm carrying tires on here, and that's a pretty good amount of stain resistance for how I'm using them. Really big, roomy cargo pockets. That's awesome. Outside pockets, which are great for hiding smaller things. I don't know if you have your weed stash, that we can go there. Have a lot of pocket room there. Really cool. And you don't have a ton of pleats or anything. They aren't oddly restricted in any way, so whatever you can fit in there, as long as your pants don't sag too much, boom, you're set. I love these pockets in the sides. This is a Sebenza, by the way, hanging out in the side pocket. Yay, Sebenzas. I love these side ones because they're so sophisticated to me. It's just a good reinforced like line on the top there. You can put your blade in it and it keeps it there flat, have your clip presented. It's not too obtuse to get to. It's always convenient. It stays on a pretty flat plane of your body, so you're not going to have it jamming into you or poking you in anyway. And it's always at hand. These are great for knives. They're also fantastic for like markers or something. If you're walking around, you have a Sharpie. My daily thing, I usually have one of the, is it a Bic one? A Bic Varsity. It's one of those fountain pens. I love the ink delivery of it because it goes on so thick and you can just kind of glide. I always love a thick writing pen. You get one of those, you get some mechanical pencils with you, a Sharpie, good to go. That's part of my thing because I'm always using all three of those throughout the day. Usually at work and like projects and whatever else I'm doing. This gives you a little bit of both. Notice there isn't a separate reinforcement panel here on the pocket. I don't really like that, but I do like the form factor, so these still end up winning for me. Good roomy pockets. You can see how big that is there. And I have fairly large hands. They do lose out on this back though. I don't really like these flapped pockets. They don't really do it for me. For one, it's a little more ass width. Once you sit on them, you can feel these into you a little bit. If you're really sensitive, you have sciatica, maybe you'll notice that. For me, it just bugs me sitting on it because I feel like I'm on like a little stand. I have like two little bunches of Velcro kind of propping me up back there. I don't like it a whole lot. It makes it harder to get into. And notice it goes wide on the outside. Granted, it's easier for you to reach, but it's more stuff in the way if you're coming in from that side. I don't know. I just don't love it. Maybe if you're putting stuff in there, like if you have a tourist map of Disneyland, that's a great idea. I could go into Disneyland for some reason. I don't know. I would just picture chunky dudes in shorts eating one of those disgusting ham legs all the time. Interior pockets in here. They actually have two of them this time around. Also pretty cool. So you get one on each side. That's a pretty good system. And this little thing I do love on their other pants. They have small Velcro things that keep it a little tighter when you're not using the pocket. Then when you need the space, it pops out and it can really expand to whatever you're putting in there. I am curious as to what people are walking around with in their cargo shorts. Like, unless you're robbing candy from a gas station or carrying around like an extra t-shirt or something, I just don't know. I never need like 8 cubic feet on each leg, but that's just me. What else? You have the same good thick belt strap loops here. That's pretty cool. Another good button. Yeah, buttons. A fantastic zipper. I love that. Look at how wide that YKK zipper is. Good engagement noise. I'm being sarcastic there, but it is good noise, but who cares? It's just a zipper. What else? That's a Piranha in there. You have the same little panels here on that back. Really good. And for the price point, I think you're looking at about $32 to $34, but you can still get some TacLites around the same price. Now the inside is something that pisses some guys off. I think it really depends on how big your gut is. It has a separate elastic system in here, kind of like a pair of dress pants. Like, it tries to be forgiving. I think it's good. It's a separate little band there, so it kind of hides itself well. I wouldn't recommend using this like if you're a 34-inch waist and you want to squeeze into some 32s. I wouldn't rely on this condition all the time to keep it comfortable for you, because it's not going to look good and you're not really meant to use it for that. This is more so it's a little more forgiving and it doesn't constrict you when you're going about like odd movements. If you're bending over, or if you're maybe kneeling down, or you're taking some funky things that really adjust your waistband, this is to give you a little extra comfort and to keep it a little more secure, so you don't have to run it looser or wider or just rely on your belt to do all that for you. It just feels a little more organic. You do have to wear it a little closer to your true waist, or whatever that like old school hot pants thing is where you're riding it kind of high. I prefer that anyways because I don't like flash and crack all the time, but some people don't. If you try to wear these like at your ass level, just, you know, tip of the crack, you may feel that this gets a little odd as it kind of rides up and down. I don't know. I personally love it though. It's one of the things that really contributes to making this such an awesome pair of shorts. So if I had to pick and I were only buying one pair, I would go with the tru-specs. Granted, that's coming from someone who hasn't tried the shorts version of the 511. The one thing I haven't mentioned so far is Inseam. These all seem to run about the 8 to 9 inch mod on, you know, like ball to Inseam. It really depends. Some guys like it, some guys hate it. Some guys really like a very long one. So, you know, this would come down and kind of bifurcate down here instead of up here. I personally don't like that. I know it may look cool, it may feel more roomy, but I really doubt you need 11 inches of dick space. And in the end, it just limits your mobility. It makes it harder for you to, you know, do a kneeling position. It makes it harder for you to jump on a motorcycle, a bike, any of that. Yeah, I don't really like that. I don't mind a high inseam. That way I can be a little more mobile and a little more free with my pants. It's a dumb thing to have to talk about, but it's one of those things you don't really notice till you get a pair of pants like that and you're always finding yourself slightly irritated by it. These ones are pretty good. I'm tempted to say the tru-specs, and I will check this in post, the tru-specs should have 2 options. Some of these do. They'll have like a shorter inseam option. It'll be like a 7.5 or a 9. I think I go with the 9 whenever possible just because it is kind of roomy. I think it strikes a good balance. And this usually comes, at least for me, at 5'9" maybe, around the knee. You won't find that these are like 70s gym shorts and they're leaving you looking like freaking Rick Moranis with like a bunch of thighs showing. They won't be too low looking like an Echo hand-me-down. They're pretty close to just right. Again, it completely depends on how tall you are. If you're a super lurpy dude, it might not look good no matter what. They don't have a whole lot of options. They're just shorts, not like shorts in the following different sizes and lengths. Look around. This is such a popular style now. I think we're only going to see more and more options. I know Blackhawk's making some now I need to try out. I do want to try the TacLites and all that, but for now, honestly, I'm doing just fine with 2 pair. I can alternate, I can get them dirty. You know, I've worn this, what, like, definitely more than 8 times between washes, so whatever. But hey, it's got a Sebenza in it, so that's how you know I'm classy. So those are pretty good. If you're going to pick them, I would go tru-specs. Propers are pretty good. If you want to do them in bulk or even buy used, you can check out eBay and get them for pretty cheap. Here's a screenshot if I want to, or not. It depends on how lazy I am in post. Yeah, man. So if you're getting shorts, hopefully that helps. See you around.